Hey, it's Cornelis. Welcome to Your Band is a Business. Today I'm going to react to an article about some musicians and bands that are struggling in today's music industry. And I'm going to share with you what I'm learning from this and what I think we can learn as independent musicians or aspiring independent musicians, especially when it comes to how to make some money, whether that's to fund our music or whether that is even to become a full-time musician. I think there's a lot to learn about what not to do, because there's some red flags that are popping up for me. Anyway, I will link to the article below as well if you want to read all the way through it. The article is entitled "People Are Forfeiting Meals, Musicians on the Struggle to Financially Survive." And it starts out with some quotes from Sam Griffiths, who is a frontman for a band called The Howl and Hum, and they are based here in the UK. And he talks about planning a tour of Europe, and the costs he estimates will be about £25,000, but the income he expects is about £14,500. So the math ain't mathing, right? It's not adding up. It's going to be a loss, and he is doing it himself. He's organizing it himself, so he doesn't have to pay a tour manager. But because of his day job in the National Health Service, where he works in administration, he says he's quite good at Excel, so that helps him plan it all out. Now, it says here that he didn't always have a day job, and his band was signed to a distribution service called AWAL, AWAL, in 2018, and they received an advance of £200,000, which is a lot of money, right? And they sold out 2 tours, and they performed at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. Before 2022, he was taking a wage from the band. I don't know if that means the whole band was being paid or just him. But then it says, then we basically ran out of money. So yeah, that money is gone now. And the band released their first album in May 2020, which was hampered by COVID restrictions, so they couldn't properly promote it. And then, quote, after that, we went our separate ways, and now it's more of an expansive solo project. We all got day jobs. Now, I looked at their Spotify, and they have about 46,000 monthly listeners, which is great. And then I went to the website, and I didn't see any tour dates listed. So I don't know if this European tour already happened or if the website hasn't been updated yet. But there are some big red flags for me. When I clicked on the merch section of the website, there was nothing listed there, completely empty. And then I went to their Spotify, and again there was no merch listed linked from any other web store. Now maybe they do have merch on sale somewhere else, but I'm finding that there's a common thread that I'm seeing in these when I read these stories about broke musicians. And look, I want to be careful. I don't know the full details of their finances. I don't know what's going on with them, where the money went, how it was spent, what's going on in the personal lives. Sometimes, things can happen. I understand that, but there's a couple of red flags, and I'll talk a bit more about that. I'll just share the next story as well. Basically, there's a band called Bugteeth, and it says here they have done well for the last 5 years, selling out several headline shows and performing on 3 UK tours. That is if you don't count their bottom line. So they're doing well. That is if you don't count their bottom line. Quote, we still don't make enough money to record or tour as much as we need to become more widely known. Everything we earn goes on petrol and accommodation. We try to stay with people we know, so we're not having to fork out for Airbnbs all the time. Now, let's see. And it says here, most musicians I know work full-time, which means no one has enough time for music, which, I agree with. Now, I looked at their Spotify. They have about 1,500 monthly listeners, and there was on their Spotify profile, there was a vinyl listed for sale. I couldn't find a website. I went to their social media, and there were links to Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, but I couldn't find a website. I did find their Bandcamp, and they have 3 t-shirts for sale there. Now, yeah, what I wanted to say earlier with relation to that other band, I totally empathize with the fact that touring is really expensive and petrol is expensive, accommodation, food, and that you're barely getting any money from the venues, and the venues are struggling because of the tax and the energy prices. I get that. But for me, there's some big red flags when I see these bands that barely have any merchandise for sale, or in the case of that the Howl and Hum, it seems like there's nothing for sale. And it's just crazy to me that you could have, whether it's 1,500 listeners or 46,000 monthly listeners, that you don't have a whole bunch of merchandise for sale. And we're not even talking about more advanced ways of making money, right? Do they have a Patreon or some other kind of paid membership to a community? Do they run workshops where they teach people how to play their songs or play their instruments? Do they seek out sync licensing opportunities, so movies and games, things like that? There's all these different things that they potentially might not be doing, just going by the fact that they're not even doing what I consider the basics. Now, I'm currently at about 50 to 100 monthly listeners, but I have something like 12 or 15 different designs available on my web store, so t-shirts, hoodies, mugs. And what I do is I just basically take the singles artwork and I use that. I also have some unique designs, and I want to do more unique designs in the future. But right from when I released my very first song, at the same time I had a web store up using Printful and Shopify, so that you could buy the hoodie and the t-shirt that had the artwork of the very first single. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not making loads and loads of money of this, but this is something that you have to learn to do. Either you get somebody else to do it, you pay somebody to do it, either take some of that £200,000 advance and have a whole bunch of t-shirt designs ready. Either you do it that way, or you learn to do it yourself. And I learned to do it myself. I learned how to set up Printful, how to create the designs, how to link that to Shopify, which is the web store, how to set up a website with that, how to link that to Facebook and Instagram, how to link that to Shopify. I learned how to do all of that. And I'll make a video about that, showing you how I did it, so that you can do it as well. But yeah, I did that from the very first day, and that I think that's just the bare minimum. Somebody has to do it, and I'm doing it all myself. I write the songs and I make sure that they're rehearsed and recorded, and I bring in the musicians and I pay the engineer and the producer and to have it mixed and mastered, and I pay for the artwork, and so I'm organizing and doing everything myself. And these bands, they have several members, at least 5 members, these 2 bands. So like, surely somebody, even if you've got full-time jobs, surely somebody can do it. Now, I'm a freelancer and consultant, so there's a bit more flexibility for me, but I'm doing it all myself. And surely in these bands you can say, okay, one of you will sort out the website, and another one of you will be in charge of the merch, and another one of you is going to be in charge of the email list. Like that should be done. I'm sorry. Like, to me, that's the bare minimum. And I'm sure you guys follow other people on YouTube. There's all kinds of musicians and music marketing gurus showing you different ways to make money. Now, there's producers that make beats or record bands. There are people that sell online courses about teaching you how to become a producer. There are people that host workshops on how to write songs. There's just so many ways of doing it, and I think it's very naive to think that you can make money from touring and streaming and 1 or 2 t-shirts. That's just no way is that going to be enough. And yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of my channel, right, is to figure this out for myself. And it's kind of strange to see these bands that have monthly listeners much bigger than I have, but they haven't done all those things that I have already, which is set up a store and have a whole bunch of t-shirts for sale and things like that. And I feel like I could do more. Like, at some point I need to update my website. It needs to be better. I need to better incentivize people to sign up for my email list. but I'm just one guy, and I'm still finding the time for it. Yet these bands that have 5 members, somehow they can't get around to doing it. Maybe they just don't know that they could be doing this kind of thing. Although there's so many marketing gurus out there, music marketing gurus out there. Surely they would have stumbled upon some of that at some point. Now, I think it's a good point to quickly talk about my own situation, and once again, for anyone that's new, to give a bit of background about this channel. So this channel, Your Band is a Business, it started because the name popped into my head, right? And I thought, that's a great name for a YouTube channel. That should exist. Now, I did set it up and I started posting videos, but what held me back from really working hard at it was that I did not want to be one of these people that is all talk and no walk. My aspiration is not to be a music marketing guru or somebody that tells you how to make it in the music business and that has not done it themselves, right? Now, I've been making and putting out music for a while, but it's only fairly recently that a bunch of things came together for me where I have the right producer and I'm recording music that I'm really proud of. In the past, I recorded some stuff and I put it out and I took it down, or and for a long time I wasn't a singer. I was just a guitar player in different bands. But then I decided to sing myself, put out my own music. Anyway, so over the past couple of years, I've managed to put out music that I'm proud of, that I'm really happy with. And also because of the COVID situation, I then released music that I just created myself. So no drummer, no bassist. And those things combined made me feel really confident about my ability to put out music that I'm proud of, and also that whether I'm working with other musicians or not, I will still be able to put out music that I'm proud of. So that then brought me back to this channel where I felt like, okay, I'm not going to pretend to be the guru. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I've made it and this is how you do it. No, but what I do feel confident about is sharing my journey and what is working for me, what is not working for me, and connect with other people that are in the same situation as I am so that we can learn from each other. Because I do, there's some marketing gurus out there that are great and that you can learn from, that I learned from, people like Jesse Cannon and Damien Keys and the Indepreneur guys. And I take a lot of inspiration from them, but there are not many people who are doing it themselves, as it were, where you can look at their Spotify and see, okay, they've got a real fan base and they've got a real following. It's not about how many, millions or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands, but it's nice to see people that you can see, okay, they've got a legitimate following of and people that enjoy their music, and they're also teaching how to do it as well. And there's not many of those around, and so I feel like, okay, maybe I could be somebody like that, but I'm 100% humble. Right now I get between 50 and 100 monthly listeners. I think I've only ever achieved 100 monthly listeners on Spotify once or twice so far. So that's where I'm at, but I'm just honest about it and I'm sharing my journey. And what I do have experience with is online businesses, because I used to work in the corporate world for some big companies, some big apps. As well as that, my day job, as it were, is in freelance, as a freelancer, as a consultant for digital marketing. Now, my specialty is more on the paid traffic, so Google ads, LinkedIn ads, that kind of stuff. But I have a lot of exposure to Google Analytics and email marketing and social media and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I kind of bring to the table, and that's what I'm trying to apply. And it's one of those situations where I've had a lot of thoughts and ideas about how to apply it to music, but I didn't have the music to apply it to, right? But now I'm in a situation where, okay, now I can finally apply some of those ideas and see what works and see what doesn't work. And the idea behind this channel is to share what, the journey, and see if I can actually, get it to work. That's what I'm working towards. That's what I'm planning. And so bringing it back to the topic, when I see some of these bands that have listeners that the amount of listeners that I aspire to, it's frustrating to see that why don't they have a t-shirt for sale? At least one t-shirt, come on. And I don't know if it's because they don't know how to, or if they feel a bit funny about the commercial side of things. I know a lot of musicians feel that way. And look, this band, the fact that this channel is called Your Band is a Business, don't get it wrong. I'm not 100% all about the money and all about the commerce. I wish I was a bit more, to be honest, because I see some musicians out there that are putting out music that I just think is absolutely terrible, but they have millions of streams. They are full-time musicians. They sell merch. Some of them tour, some of them don't even tour. It's amazing to see how there's so many different ways that musicians are able to make a living. There's people that, yeah, they've got millions of streams and they don't tour. And then I know also there's musicians that make a living, but they do a lot of house shows, right? So they make quite good money just playing in somebody's house and getting donations, more than they would if they were to perform at a bigger venue. So there's all kinds of ways. There's people that are making money from sync licensing, so getting their music in movies and games. There's people that sell courses, and there's a lot of different ways of doing it, and I'm interested in exploring them all. I already make a little bit of money from the guitar courses that I sell, which are linked below. Basically, if you are a guitar player and you want to learn how to learn and use music theory as a guitar player, then check out those courses linked below. I also have a what I call a brand discovery system. So basically, if you are a musician and you're not sure how to brand yourself, how to come up with a brand for yourself, then this course will teach you how to discover your values and how you can tell the story of yourself as an artist, and how you can use this to build your brand. And that's the kind of thing I feel comfortable sharing with people, and that's a way for people to support me and support this channel. But I'm not out here telling you how to get 1 million followers or 1 million streams, because I don't have 1 million followers and 1 million streams. When I get to 1 million streams, I promise you I will have a course for sale how to get 1 million streams. But until then, I will leave that to the other gurus. So let's tie it up. There's some red flags for me here. It's very interesting to see how these other artists and bands are doing it. They have, they've got a bunch of monthly listeners. This band's the Howl and Hum, 46,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, but no t-shirts for sale. That's a lesson for us all. We need to commercialize. I know it's icky for some people, but the people out there want to support us. They want to buy a t-shirt or a hoodie, or they want to be part of an exclusive community, or they want to buy signed artwork. Please provide it to people. And I'm sure, I don't know if you can make a full-time living doing it, but you can at least make something and subsidize your art. Anyway, I'll speak to you guys next time.